ground. That's a terrorist promise.
Welcome, Homeless Life Stories.
This is where the hidden stories get told plainly. Florida, the place once sold as a retirement paradise, now casts a long shadow as tens of thousands live without a home. According to HUD in 2025, more than 31,462 people have no place to stay, and a quarter of them are over 55. It's hard to swallow. Beneath Miami's bright lights, where tourists raise glasses on the beach, elders who worked their whole lives now sleep in tents or the front seats of aging cars. In Tampa, bridges meant to connect neighborhoods have become shelters for seniors who can't keep up with the rent. Florida used to be a dream, the endpoint of hope. Today, that sunny postcard is a test of patience and dignity for people who helped build this state. The question hangs in the air. How did the Sunshine Paradise turn into a map of tents and shadows? If you believe these truths deserve to be heard, like, comment, and subscribe to Homeless Life Stories. Every story we tell is a small step toward bringing light back to lives we've allowed to fade. The broken promise of Florida's paradise. For decades, Florida looked like a promise kept. Warm sun, blue water, quiet beach towns where a long working life could finally exhale. Since the 1980s, places like Sarasota, with 35 miles of white sand, and Naples, with its calm streets, have pulled in retirees from Michigan and New York who wanted a simple, steady end to the hustle. That picture is cracked now. Gentle neighborhoods have been swapped for luxury condos and golf communities. Affordable units vanished. In Naples, the median home price has climbed to $699,000, turning the retirement dream into a moving target. Teachers, veterans, postal workers, the people who kept Florida running, are finding themselves pushed to the margins, outpriced and outvoted. Take Evelyn, 73, a former elementary school teacher from Ohio. She put her savings into a small Fort Myers apartment, hoping to spend her last years in peace. A year later, the rent jumped $500 more than she could cover. She packed what she could into the trunk. The old sedan became her bed. "I thought Florida would be where I finally felt at ease," she whispered. "Now I don't know where I'm supposed to belong." Evelyn's story is one shard in a field of broken glass under the Florida sun. We're not telling it to draw pity, but to stir attention, to remind us that a roof over your head should not be a privilege, but a basic right. Miami, a city of contrasts. Miami glows, Latin beats on the sidewalks, ocean dinners that run a few $100s, and nightlife that looks like a fever dream. Step a few blocks off the tourist path and another Miami appears, thousands without a home. Tents under overpasses, bodies sleeping where shade is kindest. In Miami-Dade, more than 4,000 people were unhoused in 2025. 2 out of 5 are over 6, people who imagined a quiet old age and now fight to make it through the week. A one-bedroom rents for about $2,700 a month, enough to swallow a pension hole. In Overtown, empty lots have turned into ragged rows of tents. Streets that once anchored a community now hold elders bracing against the heat with nothing but a bottle of water. The contrast is brutal, wealth and want staring each other down. Consider Roberto, 67. He drove city buses for more than 30 years, carrying Miami back and forth. He figured the pension would be enough. 2 rent hikes later, he was out. Now he sleeps beneath a bridge near Biscayne Boulevard. Everything he owns zipped into a tired backpack. "I don't want anyone's pity," he said. "Just a small place to call home." A nearby church opened its doors some nights. A hot meal, a cot, a reminder that he's still seen. "That," he said, "made me feel human again." Miami can dazzle, but stories like Roberto's tell the truth. That's why we're here, to keep saying it out loud until a door opens. The cost of survival. In Florida, losing housing isn't just a money problem. It's a fork in the road that forces impossible choices. After dark in Jacksonville or under Tampa's bridges, you'll see it on people's faces. Elders clutching what's left, teens folded on benches, mothers skipping dinner so their kids can eat. Basics turn into luxuries. A bed, a hot meal, a door you can lock. In Miami, more than 40% of unhoused people have slept outside for over a year. Heat over 100 degrees doesn't just burn skin, it wears down patience, memory, and will. Daniel, 58, in Orlando, drove a cab until his health gave out. The car he once used for fares is now his shelter. "Every day I choose gas for a cool night in the car, or food for the day," he said. The calculations never end. He's not alone. Street life brings danger with it. Predatory crews lean on unhoused people for odd jobs and spare change. Older women face harassment. Kids slip through cracks into trouble. Survival becomes a bitter craft, trading pieces of dignity for short bursts of safety. We share these cuts of reality not to sink you in despair, but to make the stakes visible. Every number is a living person paying a price they shouldn't have to pay. Community trust shaken. The pain isn't only on the sidewalks, it runs through whole neighborhoods. Parks that once rang with kids' laughter now hold rows of tents. Parking lots double as night shelters. Locals feel uneasy, not mostly from fear, but from the helplessness of watching neighbors sink. In Jacksonville, the New Direction Warming Cooling Center is near capacity year-round. Families wait hours for a spot. The rising number of children seeking shelter is heartbreaking to witness. The director is blunt. Cuts to support services and rising housing costs are pushing families over the edge. The system was thin, now it's threadbare. In Tampa, small businesses around the Greyhound station are watching revenue slide. Regulars avoid the area. A cafe owner confessed, "We hand out coffee to older folks sleeping rough. I want to help. I also don't know how long my shop can survive." Compassion and worry stack up on the same counter. This isn't a niche problem, it's a mirror. When trust frays, communities split, and hope narrows. The real question is whether Florida will turn away or brace up and hold one another steady. Root causes. Behind the stats are tens of thousands swept up by a perfect storm where economics, policy, and social reality collide. Start with rent. In Fort Lauderdale, a typical one-bedroom is around $2,100 a month, while many common jobs still orbit near minimum wage. Low pay now has to cover everything that's climbing: groceries, utilities, and medicine. People choose between keeping the lights on and keeping the fridge full. Rapid development tightens the vise. Investors scoop up older complexes, flip them into luxury condos and resorts. In West Palm Beach, entire rows of low-cost rentals have been replaced without any requirement to preserve units for low-income tenants. One signature on a deal, and hundreds tumble into the street. The safety net is frayed. Section 8 housing vouchers in cities like Tampa and Orlando have closed to new applicants. Waitlists stretch for years. A 68-year-old woman in Fort Myers applied in 2022 and still hasn't heard back. Couch surfing when she can, sleeping on park benches when she can. Healthcare gaps make it worse. Free clinics have shuttered under budget cuts, leaving seniors with chronic illnesses nowhere to turn. When health slips, work goes, and the fall into homelessness comes fast. These causes don't sit side by side, they stack and interlock. Florida is a postcard of a divided America, glittering towers for tourists and wealth. And beneath them, gray heads sleeping in cars and under overpasses. We tell these truths to say this plainly. Unless we change what we value, putting people before profit, the retirement paradise will remain a broken promise. The human cost to society phrase. When people picture Florida, they see long beaches and glossy resorts. Behind that postcard is a different bill being paid, a cost you can't tally in dollars, only in health, trust, and the fabric of community. In Broward County, nearly 2 million residents, quiet blocks now hold abandoned homes. Owners walked away when they couldn't cover average insurance premiums of about $3,200 a year. In Clearwater, small shops keep shuttering because customers have nothing left after paying $1,800 a month in rent. Under Gainesville's bridges, you'll find elders hunched over a plastic bag with a few personal items. They used to be teachers, mail carriers, hospital aides, the roles that steady a town. Now they line up for phone box meals at churches or soup kitchens. It's not just material loss, it's dignity taking blows. In St. Augustine, tourists still pose at Castillo de San Marcos, while roughly 200 unhoused residents camp nearby. A jarring reminder: a city built on tourism has no room for the people who keep it running. The human bill shows up in the numbers too. Kids without stable housing miss school more often. Seniors get sicker without regular care. Neighborhoods lose their glue as worry and fatigue creep in. Florida isn't only short on housing, it's risking the community bond that once defined it. Homeless Life Stories shares these scenes not to spread gloom, but to spark attention. If we stay quiet, the cracks widen, and the values that made Florida strong slip through. A warning to the country. Florida in 2025 counts 31,000 unhoused residents, 1 in 4 over 55. That's not just a state crisis, it's a red siren for the whole country. If the retirement paradise can end up here where it's safe. In Pensacola, POP, 54,000. About 600 people have pitched tents on empty lots near Palafox Street. Among them, Gerald, 68, a former shipyard worker. After rent spikes, he couldn't hold on. He sleeps under a thin tarp near the busiest part of town and eats church meals when he can. "I worked 40 years, he said. Never thought it would end like this." If Florida lets us fall this far, what does that say about America? It's not just Florida. California has 180,000 unhoused, tents crowd San Francisco sidewalks. In New York, tens of thousands of working families rotate through hotel placements because rent outpaced wages. In Texas, especially in Austin, a one-bedroom tops $2,000, pushing families out of the places they called home. Florida is the mirror preview of what any state could face if housing and services keep falling behind. The elder clutching a family photo in a parking lot. The mother holding a torn plastic sheet over her child. Those images can land on any block, anywhere. This isn't a niche problem. It's a systems test. If a tourism powerhouse leaves seniors sleeping under bridges, what state is immune? Florida's present looks a lot like America's near future, unless we move now. Redrawing the future, restoring Florida's promise. Florida in 2025 is two colors, bright sun and the shadow of 31,000 people without a door to close. Even so, there are points of light, people, ideas, and models that put hope back on the table. In Delray Beach, Pop, 66,000, about 400 older adults are camping on vacant lots because a one-bedroom now clears $2,000. Local groups are piloting modular microhomes, compact code-compliant units at roughly 70% the cost of traditional builds. Scaled up, the first 100 could be finished by 2027, offering real safety for hundreds of seniors. In Sarasota, a community land trust holds the dirt and caps rents, shielding 500 households from price whiplash. It's a reminder, smart land stewardship, people over profit can be a near-term, practical fix. Technology helps too. Palm Beach County is testing solar-powered tiny homes, cutting utility costs by roughly 40%. Paired with digital skills training and local remote work pipelines, older adults can earn again, restoring purpose, not just shelter. Picture this: instead of queuing for boxed meals, elders sit on their own front stoops, swapping stories with neighborhood kids, handing down the know-how that keeps a community human. That isn't fantasy, it's a sensible outcome if we invest where it counts. To revive Florida's promise, we need three things working together: bold policy, organized community effort, and fit-for-purpose tech. The future we get is the one we choose and fund now. Actionable solutions, building tomorrow's safety net. Imagine a Florida without elders curled in tents or families sleeping in cars. That's not naive. That's the payoff of acting today. In Kissimmee, Pop, 82,700 people lack stable housing. A one-bedroom runs about $1.65, well past what minimum wage can carry. Charities cook 200 meals weekly along Lake Topeka. Demand is twice that. Hold the rent line. A cap allowing no more than 5% annual increases could keep 10,000 Kissimmee households from displacement. Turn vouchers back on. Reopening Section 8 with a $100 federal infusion would put roofs over 5,000 waiting families statewide fast. Bring care to the curb. Mobile clinics now see about 1,500 people a month in pilot cities. Expand statewide, and they become rolling health hubs, cardiac checks, diabetes care, mental health counseling, right where people live outdoors. Health access isn't just life-saving, it's the on-ramp back to work and stability. Fund outreach that sticks. Kissimmee's foot teams already connect camps to beds and jobs. Scale 50 such teams across Florida, and 2,000 people could enter housing and work pipelines within a few years. Pair that with targeted job training for 500 older residents to restore income and independence. Homeless Life Stories believes the face of Florida tomorrow depends on what we do today. This is about more than a mattress and a lock. It's safety, respect, and a fair shot to rebuild. The question isn't whether we can, it's whether we'll push leaders back to fair policies and link arms until no one's left outside. A call to restore the Florida dream. Florida has long been painted as the easy ending, sun, surf, and peace. By 2025, the canvas is cracked. 31,000 without homes, 1 in 4 is a senior. Postal clerks, teachers, firefighters, the very people who built community, sleep in tents under Tampa bridges or on Miami park benches. In Jacksonville, I met tired eyes that still carried grit. Elders who planned for quiet years now squeeze into an always full new direction, warming, cooling center. In Orlando, 20 minutes from Disney's magic, hundreds live under blue tarps. It's a mirror held up to the Florida dream sliding out of reach. Still, lights are coming on. St. Petersburg added 150 shelter beds in a year. Sarasota's land trust is keeping hundreds stably housed. In Kissimmee, volunteers keep showing up with hot meals, questions that sound like care, and leads that sound like hope. Small acts, big ripple. What Florida needs isn't just money, it's a plan. Earmark $75 million from tourism revenue for social housing, and you could build 2,000 affordable units by 2030. Tighten city business partnerships and expand training tracks. Thousands currently on the margins could move into steady jobs. The future doesn't arrive on its own, it's built. Or it isn't. This is the moment to speak up. None of us gets to sit this out while tens of thousands live on edge. Let the stories we share be more than moving. Let them move us. Start small, leave a comment, share what you felt, tap like, subscribe. Each action pushes these truths wider and says out loud that you choose to stand on the side of care. Florida can still reclaim its promise. The only real question is whether we dare to repaint the picture so that sunlight falls not just on the water, but on every face, finally turning a key in their own front door.